Good morning and greetings from Bill Backen, Farmer Bill. The funds are at Mays Valley Farm Market and Winery, and I'm heading back to what we call the main farm, or the home farm. My son Brett and I. Morning, Brett.
Morning, Brett.
Now, what we're going to head over here and do is, in the wintertime, we kind of do a lot of pickup jobs and cleanup jobs and things like that. And one of the things my father-in-law Kay is doing with the crew here, mostly Galen, is kind of going out with the old and in with the new. And from what I've explained in the past, and there's a lot of old blog postings and video posts, but kind of recap. We were an elevator here, our Agri Center with the American Cyanomed, custom application, fertilizer business, crop protection things, seed, fertilizer, all that kind of stuff. And also another thing we had was a small elevator. We had facilities here to store, I think it was about 470 some odd thousand bushel of grain. And right out here in front of me is one of the old grain pads here. It was a 48-foot pad. There was a two 48-foot pads and 136 here. I think right over there where that bin was a 57,000 bushel bin. Then we had two 80,000 bushel bins behind it, and then with a grain elevator here above that white building there. It was a tower structure. It went up 138 feet at the top of it, and above that platform where that long tube was two overhead bins where we loaded the grain to be shipped into, and the semis would come in and pull through those doors right there. And I could load a semi with about 900 to 1,000 bushels in about 4 to 5 minutes, or a little bit less. Behind it was another bin there. I think that bin was 48 or 52,000. This bin here, we're going to yank over today. Galen's getting it ready to go. All these bins that you see that are missing now were sold at our sale about 7-8 years ago. I think it was 8 years ago this March. Somebody bought this bin, and they bought two bins that were up on top of that platform and never bothered to take them. So they've been sitting here for a long time, and minus the bucket elevator that we had here, they're pretty useless. I mean, we can't get into that bin, and it's just been sitting there. And right now, scrap price went up. So believe it or not, it's more cost effective for us to yank that bin over and just let it go boom on the ground, cut it up, and take it to the scrap yard than it is for somebody to come along and unbolt it. If you look closely, there's all kinds of little dots that you see on the side of that bin, and those are all bolts, or a nut and a bolt and a washer. And as you go along with impact wrenches right there, and you take an impact wrench and you have to take apart each and every one of those. So it's very much a labor intensive operation. These were not the best types of bins. These particular ones, we bought them used and put them up back in 1985. There was a big government storage program that came into being right there, so we built a lot of this system in about 3 to 4 months. And we bought them used and put them up, and their life's out. The bin behind it there, that great big one, actually have sheets welded together, and it'll come down in a pile one day too. Some of these older bins are much more desirable. There's some Butler bins there, and they're lap style, where this is a butt style, and they just work a lot better. So this is a little bit of what we used to be here at Mays Valley. There was a continuous flow grain dryer. We had pneumatic air systems here that blew the grain around, as well as bucket elevators. On this side over here, where these pads are missing, they just took down the old batch dryer. That was a dryer that you loaded about 850 bushels at a time into, batched it out, cooled it, then elevated it out. There was a bucket elevator there. There was a bucket elevator that came out of the top of this white building. We had a feed system in there where we used to bag soybean meal, cottonseed, brewer's grain, beet pulp, those types of things, and sold to farmers and things like that. On that pad directly across there, this side of that old shed was an easy dry. That was another type of grain drying system where you held the grain in the top of the bin, dried it for a while, and then a bunch of little doors inside dumped it, and it transferred to the bottom. Then you moved it out elsewhere. We had, I think at one time here, 5 or 6 different grain legs all around here. Like I said, they all went back in our sale. We still do use a few of these bins because my father-in-law still grows about 275, 300 acres of soybeans, and he uses those bins just by the old-fashioned way of loading them with an auger and taking them out with an auger on the side into the semis. And that's mostly for rotational purposes and things like that he still does. So that's a little bit of a recap of what's going on here today at Mays Valley. Bill Backen, the funds are from Mays Valley, recapping some of the things we used to do.